Distant Free with Jacqueline Mack, recorded live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and here in Riverside, giving it a try. So if any of you are familiar with it, have any tips or tricks to share, please do. I'm seeing if this is where I want to move to besides the other platform. And I obviously am going to spoil a new alert. I will be recording podcasts with guests in the very, very, very near future. I'll be scheduling those out in advance as far as probably 30, 60, maybe 90 days out in advance. And these are, if you are an individual, specifically a business owner or someone who is in a position in their life of a job or a profession where the pressure has been on for most of it, and what you had to do to tap into next level courage, next level faith, next level trust with yourself and a higher power in order to change the circumstance, the situation, the thing you were giving power away to. And this could have been a person you were giving power away to. This is vulnerable, real, live talk. So if you're still going through the thing, maybe next year it will be your time to be on my podcast. This is something you've already healed from, resolved, and you have some real insight, real wisdom and what it means to step into next level courage in order to experience next level freedom. And this is with your health, this is with your relationships, this is with your time, your money, all the freedoms that we desire, which we deserve, right? So I believe I am live on these other platforms. So bear with me as I just check, and then we will roll into the podcast as well. So I just want to make sure we are live over there. Let's see. Looks like we are live over there as well. And we're rolling. Cool, I think. We will see. We'll keep going. All the things. So at the end of the day, what we're talking about is where we're giving our power away. What we're talking about is probably the number one thing that I've noticed being in the sales world for as long as I have, where people have continued to give their power away. It's circumstances, it's situations, but most of the time, because of sales, it has to do with money. Money. And what do I mean by that? It's the power we give to money when we say we don't have enough, therefore I'm not able to, or I can't. And at the end of the day, is it that you really can't, or you just value your money more than that thing, or the experience, or the solution, or the transformation? Right? So it's just like asking yourself the next best question. And this has to do with money, but also doesn't have to do with money. Where else in your life you're like, I would love to do blank, but after that what follows that? And how can you ask yourself the next best question? Because at the end of the day, it is about decision mastery. At the end of the day, it's about living the most juiciest life we possibly desire and also deserve, and not just existing till someday when, because I can tell you that someday when is not always guaranteed. It's not always guaranteed. And if many of you have been following me for a while now, you know I've suffered, but also thrived through lots of death as a young girl. And I know many people have. And I know there's people that have experienced way more death than I have at an early age. And there's some that didn't experience as much as I did at an early age. But what I can tell you from that is what I've grown to believe and still believe to this day is that it's not the death that's the tragedy of life. I think there's a quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it because I'm really good at that. It's the tragedy of life is not death, but what dies inside us while living. And you're like, what does this have to do with my money goal? What does this have to do with my money goal being too small, too big, or just right? Well, it has everything to do with it. First of all, are you living or just existing, right? If you're just existing, you're probably playing too small. Your goals are probably very small, and it's probably because you're afraid of the unknown, because all you've known is playing small, right? So again, it's not right or wrong, good or bad, it just is. And if they're too big, meaning, okay, your belief system can't get behind the fact that you've never made 6 million, here I go again. These fun big numbers that just pop out of my mouth. You've never made six figures in 1 year in your business or in your career, but yet you have this goal to hit 5 million in 1 year with a new idea or a new business model, and you fill in the blank, right? So it makes sense why your belief system is like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, how the hell are you going to do that? What we're doing right now isn't proof that that could be possible, right? So it wants to hold you back in what's familiar, because what's familiar is predictable, and what's predictable feels safe, right? And all of this goes back into how we're making decisions. And are we making decisions from a regulated nervous system with clarity, with calm, with an inner knowing, with intuition, yes, with strategy, yes, with logic, yes, with wisdom. Like, again, if you've ever worked with me at any capacity, I teach and coach a lot around the strategy, but also help you create the strategy that feels most aligned to you, trusting your inner knowingness and not just the knowingness, but also allowing your wisdom to be a part of it as well, but not one driving more than the other, if that makes sense. So to keep this on track, because I think everything's working now, we'll see. I just want to jump into today's episode on how to know if your money goal is too big or too small or just right. And what does that mean as far as your money mindset, your limiting beliefs, your non-limiting beliefs, and why isn't it working? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why are we trying to hustle and grind it into place versus allowing? And if you get anything out of the last few episodes, especially in June, where I was talking a lot about how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're hustling and grinding and hustling and grinding to maintain the lifestyle you have now, check yourself, because is that sustainable, and is that ultimately what you designed your business to do, or took on that position to do, or said yes, that commitment to experience or to do? And this, again, this has everything to do with being a business owner or a professional, but also has everything to do with your personal life and your commitments that you make there. And you'll hear me say this time and time again, the book, The Four Agreements, it's so good. Using the book, The Four Agreements, to anchor into your value system, along with what I just finished up again listening to from Mel Robbins, plugging her again, the let them, let me theory. Like, you really can't mess it up, and you'll take all the pressure off yourself, and you'll create instant freedom. Now, it might not exponentially show up right then and there as that money freedom or time freedom per se, but I am so certain, I can almost guarantee it. If you practice these two models, you will create the freedom of pressure-less living, pressure-less existing, which our soul yearns for. And because none of us signed up to say, hey, I want to work as hard as I can, make a lot of money, not enjoy it, not actually live. And then maybe once I've done this for 6 decades or 5, let's just face it, most of us probably weren't working at the age of 10 or 20. So the next 40 years, finally get to enjoy it. Like, no, like, who said it had to be that way? What if it didn't have to be that way, right? So the 4 agreements, as you know, is honor your word, number 1. Make no assumptions, take nothing personally, and it says do your best, but I like to say just be a little better. Be a little better every single day. And then you pair that with letting people be them, and you leading from example of what you desire your relationship to feel like and look like. And then set those boundaries, obviously, because some of those will need that. Most of them will need that. And inevitably, every relationship will need some sort of boundary. And then let you be you. Let you decide from a space of knowing what's out of your control, which is everything except your beliefs and how you respond to the world. Everything is out of your control except your beliefs and how you respond to the world. So now that you know these things, I just did a recap really quickly of last month's podcast series. And if you're like, what the heck, and your mind is spinning, like I'm speaking Greek to you, go back and listen to those episodes. Because today we're going right into it. If you skip those episodes before this one, I'm not saying you can't get through this without struggling, but it'll probably be a little bit more of a struggle than it needs to be. So think of this as your money goal. Again, is it too big? Is it too small? Is it just right? Is it Goldilocks? Testing it out. Test it out. This is how we test it out. Exactly how we test it out. I'm pulling this like straight from my course Money Codes, which stick around because I have some huge opportunity to share with you that you won't want to miss. Your money goal is an energetic match and or mirror, right? So if you're like, Why am I not attracting the kind of money I know I desire and deserve, Jackie? Because you say it all the time. Well, you're an energetic match or mirror, both. So when you choose that number, do we own it? Do we believe that it's possible? Do we believe in its potential being a part of what we can allow into our life and flow into and flow out of our life, right? Because it's energy. It's a moving piece. So I'm talking energetics today, I'm talking strategy. And so the exact amount of money you want to earn is a reflection of the value and impact you are co-creating with others that you're willing to step into. So if you're selling a service, this is who I'm talking to. If you're part of a team and you're overseeing like your C level, V level, VP level of an organization, and you're like, I just want to make more money, but the only way I can make more money is if I leave this organization and take another job. Maybe. What if it wasn't that way? What if it could be a different way? And have you proposed that? And of course, you got to be ready because again, everything's out of your control except for two things: your beliefs and how you respond. So just be prepared to what that could mean. And are you willing? All of this has to do with are you willing? It has nothing to do with willpower, which some of you are going to check me on that, but go ahead. I'm happy to have a healthy debate about that. But everything, if you're willing to commit. See, most people will pick a goal that feels safe, a goal that doesn't actually expand them, and I'm guilty of this. Like, I still do that to this day. And I was just speaking with a business bestie about it, and she's like, why did you do that? Why did you offer? Why? And I'm like, because it felt really good. And you know, I can always change it. It's not in writing. Actually, what's in writing is more, but I just said, hey, for the next few months, I'm willing to do this because I wanted that money, that energetic exchange, to go back into the business to do other things. And I said specifically what I wanted it to do because I see myself as a partner in one of my clients' businesses right now, heavily. Yes, she's paying for my services, but I'm also generously giving even more and giving back even more sooner than expected because I can. Because I go back to the most generous people have more to give. So if you view money as an energetic exchange and not just a metric, this will reframe your income as an exchange for value and impact that you bring into the world. So when I first set my goal for my first multiple six-figure year, which sounds so cool and crazy, back in the day, I remember when I was really, really young, and I thought if somebody, made $100,000, they were really, 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 really rich, right? Now it's like, what is really, 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 really rich? And I've totally redefined that in my own terms on all levels. It includes health and vitality. It includes adventure. It includes my relationships. Like a rich life is healthy in all the ways, not just one monetary way, right? That's for another podcast, which we'll get to. But I just remember setting this first goal and I thought it was too big. And it wasn't about the number. It was about my belief and the impact I wanted to create. And I knew what was going to be required of me to hit that goal, not only set the goal, but actually hit that goal. So what I did is I placed my hand on my heart and I closed my eyes and I felt into that number. What level of impact do I desire to create in the world with this specific offer? Or just maybe I don't even know what it is on the how yet, but I just know there's something burning inside of me. That's what they call the burning desire piece, right? And it's to create millions. I've already sold millions for other people. I've already helped other people create millions of dollars of wealth, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've seen behind the scenes what's required and the type of teams and the turnover and the churn rates and all the things. I was like, oh, my nervous system was like, I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to like experience those things. I already directly experienced them as it is. Honestly, and this, by the way, is also when I was experiencing my 2 burnouts as I was doing premium closing, high ticket sales for other organizations that I still have very, 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 very good relationships with. And I really do still support the work that they're doing in the world, the impacts that they're making, the transformations that they're creating. But the millions of dollars is when my human brain, my logic brain self said, well, you haven't experienced that yet in your own bank account. So I don't even know if that's possible in a year, let alone possible at all. And the truth is, It is possible. And in order to do that, it would require a whole new version of me. Massive perspective shifts, massive upgrades to my limiting beliefs and money stories and patterns and habits and behaviors. When I say massive, like, don't even recognize the other person who actually has done a lot of good and has been quote unquote successful in her own eyes and other people's eyes. But it's like, when is it enough? I was sitting with a friend who has created millions in her life and has friends who have even more millions. And they were always just talking like, oh yeah, so and so, and then they're millions, and now they're doing this and now they're doing that. And I'm like, looking at them, I'm like a little delusional. I'm like, do you hear what you're saying? But it's funny because I say the same thing about this friend because they're X amount of values of decimals and commas away, right? And I'm sharing this because it's a practice. Like anything we choose, the patterns, the habits, the behaviors, they create our experiences. Remember, I said we get to choose what we think. If we think things over and over and over again, limiting or not, serving or not, they become our belief system. And that's what we can control. That is it, in our own little bubble. And then how we respond to the world, because the world is responding to us. Again, that's for another podcast episode here. I'm coming up with a lot of good podcast episodes as I'm just speaking this out loud from a couple bullets that I really wanted to share with you today. So the key is discipline. And what is your relationship with that word? And does discipline equal freedom? Because if it doesn't, how can we have a better relationship with that word? How can it equal freedom for us? And what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would we view it? What would be happening? What would we be choosing for it to be redefined? And each time we work through this as we level up. So this isn't a check the box one and done, because let's just face it, when we earn a little more, when we experience a little more, when we attract a little more and we create a little more and we give a little more, we always want to do more. We always want to give more. We always want to attract more. We always want to do more, right? It's just part of being human. It's part of evolving. It's part of growing and expanding. So the question is for you, are you ready for your upgrade? Are you ready for that next level of wealth and abundance? And if not now, why? If not now, why? What will you need to have in place to know you're ready? And then check yourself and see if what you're saying is your truth, that you want to be your truth, or is a truth you need to work through in order to say okay and feel safe to do it. Because there's a difference in feeling safe and just being nervous and a little scared. And that's what I take to heart when I'm talking to people. I'm like, oh, I really want to do this, but, and I'm like, well, let's uncover this. What's really stopping you? Where are you giving your power away? How can you stand in your power? What would you like to be done beforehand? And is that necessary, or is that just delaying? And whatever the answer is, isn't right or wrong, good or bad. It just is. And I support them in that. My job in any of the work that I do is help people just be better decision makers for themselves and their future and their legacy. And ultimately that grow into more wealth. Period. End of story. Call it a sales coach, call it a mindset coach, call it a legacy coach, call it a whatever you want to call it. Like, I actually don't care about titles. But what I do care is that you have and you know what you need to have in place in order to do so, and what's required and what isn't. And we're just saying that it is, but it's a truth that somebody else said to us that we made a belief, or the belief that we made truth that's just not. And it's actually a limiting factor. And notice what you're noticing. Like, notice where you're giving your power away. And really, in just one decision or one combo or one commitment, you're actually just one of those away from your next level. So for those of you who are like, I'm ready, let's go, let's check this number. Like, I want to uncover my number today. Okay. So place your hand on your heart. And if you're in a safe place, close your eyes. If you're not, listen to this later. Do it again. Turn on some music, burn some incense, whatever you do that creates the safe, sacred space for you to literally tap in, tune into yourself, your truest, authentic self, which is in the core of your body. Maybe it's in your throat chakra, maybe it's below your throat chakra, maybe it's in your gut. It's somewhere in this core of your body, but it's definitely not up in your head, right? And ask yourself, what would I love the impact in the world that I get to co-create with other people to be? And how much would I love to receive in relation to that? What would I love my impact in the world to be? And how much would I love for that to be and reciprocated back to me? What's that number? What would I love feeling from the heart? Because again, the head does not get to say what it wants to say right now, especially if it's starting to chime in, even as I'm saying this, because it will. It's speaking from the past. It's speaking from certain conditions and circumstances. And half of it's probably limiting, if not all of it. And it's just outdated. It served its purpose then, but it's no longer serving you now. So, what is that number? What is that number? And if it pops, like whatever pops up first, just lean into that. Play with it. Be curious. No judgment. It's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. And this is the next step. Like, let's check your number. Is it aligned? That's the just right number. Is it too small? Is it too big? What was that number that you'd love to hit when you're like, oh, if I knew that my work in the world was a direct reflection of the impact I'm making in this world, and I'm receiving X amount of dollars, and that is just a direct reflection of the massive amount of impact I'm making in the world? Is that 50,000 a month? Is that 50,000 a year? Is that 100,000 a month? Is that 100,000 a year? Is that $1 million a month? Is that $5 million a year? What is that number you just love to hit? And notice your body's response. Is it excitement? Is it fear? Is it restriction and contraction? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it flow? And then ask yourself, what am I making this mean? What are you making it mean? And then ask like 5 times over and over, what else? What else? What else? That's interesting. What else am I making this mean? What else does that mean? And what does this mean? Now that I believe this to be true, whether it's a limiting belief or something that's serving you, a new belief, oh, if that was true, then I believe this. And that means this would happen. And that means that would happen. And that means I would hire more people. And that means I would impact more lives. And that means I would start running ads. And that means I would connect with more people. And that means I would collaborate. And that means I'd show up more. And that means I would be speaking on stages. And that means I'd be writing books. Maybe it's none of that. Maybe it just means more people just get to know who I am. And from that, it happens. And because people know who I am, and they get a taste of what I do, and they want more of that, boom. And that feels light and expansive. That's when we double down, right? If it feels constrictive, question it. Why am I feeling the resistance? Why do I believe that to be true when I know that doesn't serve what I ultimately desire, and what I ultimately desire, I deserve? What's there to work through, not suppress, not ignore, but to work through? This is what I get to do. And it's messy sometimes with myself and my clients. But guess what? I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to go there with you. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing and able. Because what happens next is you got to be willing and able to also grow and expand to the capacity to hold space for everything that comes with that next level wealth. I will say this again. You have to be willing and able, committed, not just decided. You can decide all day to do something, but commitment means you're taking the action, you're doing the things, you're showing up as the person who is. To hold space for everything that comes with that next level of wealth. There is the respect, the responsibility, the gratitude, the generosity that comes with this. Again, I wholeheartedly believe the most generous people have the most to give. Quick share an example of truly knowing what's required to manage that next level of wealth. Studies have shown that many people who have won the lottery end up broke or broker within a year or two, because they never learned how to manage that amount of money energetically and or practically, right? So when someone is handed or gifted an absurd, let's just face it, lottery's absurd. It's cool. It sounds fascinating, tantalizing. Oh, my troubles will be taken away. Really? Or are you just going to cause more troubles? And then you're going to miss like the novelty of like spending it, and then it's gone. And then you didn't actually learn how to use money to create wealth. You didn't learn how to use money to create generational wealth. I'm still learning this. I was never taught. I was never gifted that at a young age. And I'm still learning this in my 40s. And I'm not perfect at it by far, but I understand it at the most simplest level. And I'm always seeking my next teacher to show me how to create that. Because the truth is, and a lot of you know this, and some of you don't, because I was quote unquote ashamed to share it for a long time. Many of my clients, if not most of my clients, have always made more than me per month in most years, right? And those are the type of people I love to work with. That's who I like to attract. That's who I know how to speak to. That's who I know how to show up for to help them go to the next level. But I was afraid to even mention that for a long time because of how people would view that. Like, wow, you don't make as much as them, but they're doing that? Interesting. How could you help me get there? Well, here's how. And if you just want a taste of it, jump in the money codes. If you want a taste of it, jump into sales codes. Apply what's in there, obviously, and see for yourself. And then obviously we can do the one-on-one coaching thing from there, if that's what you feel aligned to do. So if you desire your first six-figure year or multi-million-dollar business, you must first build the identity and capacity to steward that abundance. To know how to hold space for all the things, the good things that come with that, and the challenges that come with that, because both are going to occur. That's just the truth. And I'm here to share nothing but the truth. So help me God. Okay. The last piece I want to share here is flipping the script. So what I just said, if you're like doing the work, you send the number and you're like, what am I feeling? I'm feeling all the things, Jackie. I'm feeling really good about the number. And then I'm second guessing the number. Okay. What else could be true? So if you're struggling like I used to, and many of my clients did before they jumped into money codes, with the heart wanting one number and the head saying, that's not possible because blah, blah, blah. So if you believe multiple six figures, I'm just going to go with that because that's what many of my clients this past year have been striving for. Whether it's multiple six figures in a month or multiple six figures in a year, this number just keeps coming up. So I'm going to share that. So it means, like when I say multiple six figures, like what does that mean? Because if you're resisting it, maybe you're telling it means I'm going to burn out. Well, if making multiple six figures means you're going to burn out, because that's what I experienced with my first, right? So why wouldn't it be true if that was my truth, right? But it doesn't have to be my truth. And I don't have to continue that cycle. I can be like, oh, lesson learned. Let's not do that again, right? So what if that wasn't true? Then what would it be? What would it look like? What else? What else? What else? Keep what elsing till you're like tired of asking yourself what else. If that wasn't true, what else would be true? Or if that number isn't realistic, meaning there's too many competitors, great. What that means is there's even more buyers. And that means that your buyers are being educated by your competitors. So be curious. In the space of possibility and potentiality, like be curious. I remember when I was entering a new territory and there was a lot of uncertainty. That's normal. Because in the space of uncertainty, anything's possible if you believe that. Or you're going to believe the opposite of that, and that's not going to serve you into possibility and potential. So instead of shoving it aside, get curious and ask better questions. All of the questions, by the way, are in money codes. If you're like, I don't know what question to ask. There's so many questions in money codes. I actually had a previous coach of mine, one of my coaches I paid, go through money codes. And I was like, how's it going? How are you doing the work? And she's like, gosh, there's a lot of questions. Good. Why is it taking you so long? Because each question, it's just like going deep. Good. So what are you doing with that? And are you playing in the space of possibility when you're uncertain to what's actually truly possible? And are you tapping into like your burning desire and not just a vague want or keeping up with the Joneses? Because that burning desire is divine and you deserve it. So ask yourself, making multiple six figures. Okay, if I used to burn me out, it doesn't have to anymore. That's my story. Welcome. It doesn't cause burnout. What it does mean is how my business runs and how I get to set up my days, my weeks, my months. And here's the kicker. Who's supporting you? Who's supporting me? Right? When I ask what else, again, I say this 10, 20 times. What else? What else? What else? To uncover the hidden stories. And be like, well, if that weren't true, what would be true? Well, I'd have this person, this person, this person. I would have this already built out. I would have this thing turned on. I would have automations be automations, but then I would just plug in real time, authentic conversations and drops like this, like which I feel I get to do on my podcast all the time. Like there's parts of me where I wish my podcast was planned out the next 6 months. That just would feel really good. But then there's other parts of me like 6 months from now, I'll probably be wanting to talk about something completely different on a whole nother level. So I plan out every few weeks in advance. And sometimes even when I plan out a few weeks in advance, I totally trump whatever I was going to talk about, ditch it and come up with something new on the spot. Because I'm living from and deciding from my vision and alignment. And what that means is I create space for spontaneity, for possibility. And any new limiting belief or old limiting that pops up, I just get to reframe it and upgrade. So for my business owners and my sales professionals, this all ties into sales. So if you're like, okay, she just went from talking a lot about sales earlier in the past few months to not talking about sales so much in this conversation. But what I'm telling you is your money beliefs are contagious and they're being felt to your prospects, whether you realize it or not, and whether you're doing it with intention or not. So all of this ties into sales, especially if you're selling a service and premium offers and experiences. So don't forget to dial this in as you prepare to energetically hold and deliver more value. Check your sales conversations to assure your ideal client sees and hears the value that you're laying down, the value that you're sharing. I've seen that happen far too many times this year where somebody asks really good questions in the discovery, transition into this beautiful pitch and personalizes it, and never checks in to see if what they're sharing is actually landing with them and getting them to use their words and sell them on why they want it. Sell them on why they think this is going to be the thing that's going to help them and they're going to benefit from, and it's going to transform this and it's going to take care of that. These are all things that we obviously dial in sales codes, but pairs very well with money codes. And somebody's like, well, which one should I do first? Whichever one you feel called to. And if you want both, let me know. I'm toying with the idea of the bundle. You buy one, you get one. But that leads me to today. Today, freedom. Freedom from the pressure of the money that we are allowing money to put the pressure on us, because money's not putting pressure on you unless you're allowing it. And nobody can actually put pressure on you unless without your permission. There's no pressure without permission. And 99% of the time, you are the one inflicting the pressure. Your thoughts, your beliefs. And I check myself weekly on this one, sometimes daily on a really busy week. So if you're really ready to rewrite your money story, ditch those limiting beliefs, up-level your abundance, create next level wealth for you and your family, then Money Codes is the blueprint for mastering this. And it will also massively impact how you make your decisions as you start to do what? Decision mastery. This will also transform your relationships, meaning all of them. You have multiple different kinds of relationships with money. You have a relationship with money and how you spend it with your kids. You have a relationship with money, how you spend it on yourself. You have a relationship with money, how you spend on your spouse, your clients, how you invest into your business. This will change it for the better. Money Codes is, or I guess I would say are the codes behind all the strategies out there around money. It's your blueprint for mastering this piece forever, literally. So what I'm doing for Freedom July, God bless America. We live in one of the most abundant countries in the world. And we have so much opportunity and potential. So it blows my mind when someone's like, I can't afford this. I'm giving it to you at 50% off. DM me in LinkedIn, because I am on Instagram, not on Instagram. Someone still has my Instagram account, so don't DM me there. Again, do not DM me there. DM me on LinkedIn, money. I will give you the link. I will give you the coupon code. And I might even share it in the show notes so it saves you a step. And you'll get lifetime access to Money Codes. You'll continue to evolve and grow and expand as you rise into your next level wealth and impact. And in the meantime, let me know one thing you're going to take away from this and do, one thing that actually activated you and now you're integrating and it's changing who you are and who you be and how you show up, how you make your decisions. If you're like, this all sounds good, can I still do a vision activation? Yes, I still offer those as well. And if you decide not to use that 50% off code and you're like, shoot, this makes complete sense, I will give 2 one-on-one calls to the first 10 people who don't want to use that code, and they can use those calls over the next 60 days. That's right there over $1,000 value. So basically you're getting money codes for free for life. And again, if you're saying you can't afford it, that's your sign. You can't afford to keep avoiding it. The thing that's telling you can't afford it. You are basically declaring that you can't afford it because of money, and you're giving your power away to money, which you have every way to respond to the world to attract and create more money. So what are we really doing here? We're just blocking our own shots. I'm going to send you off with so much love. Until next time, bye for now.